Life is really about fucking up. But it's something that we avoid because it's easy to make mistakes mean something about who we are, our self-worth, our enoughness, our capacity to actually create the life that we want. But the truth of the matter is that fucking up is how we expand. Making mistakes is where we learn where our edge is at and learn where we have work to do to become more whole, more open, more free, more expressed, and what have you. So in this video, I want to talk about the power of fucking up and just give you 3 core principles to live by that, when embodied, will help you live a deeply fulfilling life. So if you're new here, my name's Kev. I am an award-winning furniture designer and I help ambitious creatives become more emotionally intelligent, because that's the juice, baby. So the first core principle is to believe fully, or to know in your body, that mistakes are the opportunities for expansion. You know, when we're in love light and rainbows and unicorn land, we're not learning very much, right? I look back at the times of my life when I was, quote, on top of the world. Those were great seasons. I love them and I want to cherish them as they come. But those aren't really the seasons where you are learning and expanding. Those to me have been seasons where I'm just like enjoying where I'm at, until it inevitably starts to feel stagnant, you know. Even paradise ceases to be paradise when it's your everyday life, you know. Most people dream of some faraway tropical island, and then all of a sudden you have all these people from Fiji and stuff that want to move to Kansas because they want something different. So life is contrast, and we need to allow ourselves to learn. And we learn when life starts to guide us into sort of the shit, right? Life guides us into opportunities where we're meeting our edges, our capacity is being tested, something unexpected happens. And to be able to have your heart open to meet these challenges and to realize there's no wrong way. There will be consequences, right? No matter how you navigate anything, there's always, you know, reactions and ripples created from the decisions that you make and the actions that you create. But in those mistakes are where we learn about ourselves. Quote, when we're in sort of the darkness, you know, unquote, that's where the teacher is, you know. The times of my life where I have deeply, deeply transformed have been those seasons where I was squaring off with some really heavy circumstance and some really deep, dark, dense stuff inside myself, confronting those fears. So allowing ourselves to fuck up, right? To experiment, to make mistakes, to be challenged with circumstance, and to know that there's not a perfect way through. You just have to open your heart and move boldly, you know, and be self-compassionate. That is where we learn. So I give you permission, I know you don't need it, but like, I give you permission to make some mistakes. Right now, there's probably a situation that you're trying to navigate, something sticky, slippery, or a big decision. And just know that whatever choice you make, whatever action you take, there's no right and there's no wrong way to do it. There's just the way you choose to do it. And you can either let that be something that you analyze to hell and back, or you regret, or you can commit fully to it, take full responsibility for what is created from that moment, and learn, shit, I made this decision and it led to these kind of reactions and consequences. What is in this for me? What am I here to learn inside of this? What pattern is being revealed? Let mistakes expand you, because life is always trying to help us deepen into our most authentic self, to become more free. And we have to experiment and make mistakes so that we have data that is going to help us reorient and reshape our lives, right? And so the second core principle that I want to speak to is just to lean into letting it all be messy. I've found as a perfectionist, at least a recovering perfectionist, that There is no connection in perfection. Whenever I strive to be perfect, whether that's to have the perfect thing to say, the perfect solution to a problem, the perfect business, the perfect whatever it is, I'm not allowing any space for true connection. Because connection's really forged in the messiness, in the imperfection. I also love breaking words down and how imperfection literally is broken into I'm perfection. Love that, you know? The perfection is found in the imperfection. In embracing the fullness of your own humanity, the messiness of it all, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the fears, the joys, embracing and welcoming all of that is what allows you to come fully alive. That's what allows you to be engaged in life. Whenever I've strived for perfection, I was never really fully engaged in life. I was actually engaged in my fears and some unrealistic fantasy, right? But I learned that I want to be here. I want to be deep in the creative goo that is my life. I want to be fully present with the texture of what is, regardless of if it's happy or sad, grief, anger, ecstatic bliss, you know, whatever those things, whatever that texture happens to be, I want to be fully with it. And that creates connection. Connection to my own sense of self, my own creativity, connection to the world around me, to the people, to the places, to the projects. And paradoxically, better creative work comes out of that. You know, more networking, more expensive opportunities for money come out of that. Deeper relationships. And that all comes when I let it be messy. And when I'm messy, I'm not worried about coming up with the best possible answer. I'm mostly concerned with, am I doing what's right for me in the moment? Am I expressing what feels most true to me right now? And of course, I want y'all to be emotionally intelligent with that, not to be, you know, projecting, not to be rude, not to be, you know, putting your shit out into the world. But I think there's a huge amount of liberation that comes when I'm connected to myself and I follow what's true to me and what feels most alive to me right now. It's going to lead me down a bumpy path, but that's going to be the perfect path to help teach me the lessons that I need to learn. And me going down the path that is right for me is also helping do what is right for everyone around me. Because the world that I believe in cannot be built on self-abandonment. So the more that I have to learn to deeply love and lean into all of the things I avoid and resist looking at inside myself, the more I lean into the messiness of my life and sit with it and take responsibility for it and create from it, the more that I actually really create meaningful, impactful relationships. The people around me are affected whether I'm directly a cause of it or not. And that's the world I believe in, where I'm so connected to my core values and to creating and expressing from that place that it's contagious, right? And I totally believe that deep creativity is contagious. And so the last core principle that will just help you fuck up more, fuck up more confidently, feel more free to fail, is the principle of failure and recommitment. You know, life is just a series of failures and recommitments. And the times in my life where I didn't allow myself to fail, where I was playing small, I was hiding or not taking risks, are the times I felt the most lost, the most stuck, the most stagnant, and in fact was even challenged but kept trying to push the walls out to prevent and avoid challenge. But life is really all about confronting and embracing whatever feels most alive now and stumbling your way through. Fail and then recommit to the task at hand. Express yourself in this new business venture. Give all of yourself. Give outward to the world. Fail and then see how you can recommit and redevote to showing up with that much more depth, to showing up with now a slight different pivot, to changing your message, to recommitting with more fierce love. Whatever that might mean to you. The gift of recommitment is telling ourselves that it's safe to fail. And when we recommit, that's when we learn. You know, when you stumble and you choose to get back up, you've learned where your edge is. You learned that sort of line that you can be more graceful, but you can also challenge. You find that those insecurities and those edges are actually the places that are asking to be loved and looked at and held and experienced and moved through, so that you can get to the next challenge, you know. There's no there. Yet most people are waiting to get somewhere someday so that finally there's no more work to do. But one of my favorite quotes is the chapter of the first book, or the first chapter of the book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. And it says, stop waiting for the completion of anything. Because nothing really completes, right? They just deepen. The spiral continues. And if something completes, when you get there, you realize there's something that you're already focused on again. So there's no completion of anything that will save you. Only like the complete devotion to the now, to the raw messiness of what it means to be human, to there's the complete imperfection of it all, and the failure, and the stumbling, and the wanting to give up. Like that is the only place to give all of your devotion. Because if you can fully accept the texture of what's happening in your life right now and choose to show up anyway and choose to recommit, that's where you're expressing your deepest power. That's where you're most aligned with your potential. That's when you are in alignment with the world that you want to live in, because it's the world you would prefer to live in anyways. Doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that you see the value in choosing to be a stand for the world that you value, you know. And fucking up is the world that I value. I want to fuck up all the time so that I can keep learning and keep growing. I want to fuck up in my business so that I can see where the kinks are. I want to fuck up in my relationships so that I can learn how to deepen my connection and to show up with even more integrity, right? So let it be messy, you know? Let it be messy. Fail and recommit. Realize that there's no connection in perfection, and that mistakes are the only places where we truly expand and transform. That's where the rubber hits the road. So get out there and fuck up. And if you want help, some facilitation fucking up, check out the Embodied Creative Toolkit. It's a series of experiments that you can start implementing today that will impact the way that you show up as a creative in your business, in your career, and just your everyday life. So that's just some really juicy, fun stuff. But in the meantime, I'm so glad you've been here. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Ciao.